Harvard suing the Trump administration. My God. So the president doesn't like Harvard. I can tell you that because I attended Harvard and he knows it, and it gives me jazz. All right. So 2.3 billion is gone. Harvard's going to lose that from the federal government. Now he may freeze another $1 billion, and Harvard's fighting back. President is named Alan Garber. Okay. And Garber is now ordered his counsel at the school to sue the Trump administration. Quote, these actions have stark real-life consequences for patients, students, faculty, staff, researchers, and the standing of American higher education in the world. Moments ago, we filed a lawsuit to halt the funding freeze because it is unlawful and beyond the government's authority. I encourage you to read our complaint. Harvard will lose in federal court, but it'll have to go to the Supremes. They'll go all the way up. But I think they'll lose because we, the taxpayer, have no obligation to fund ideological schools. According to the student newspaper, The Crimson, which is decent, it's run by lefties, but they try, 82% of the Harvard faculty is liberal or far left. 82%. How does that happen? It happens because the people doing the hiring at Harvard University are only hiring left-wingers. I guess there aren't any smart conservatives or traditionalists or libertarians. There's no smart people in those categories. 82%. So you got an ideological college. That's what you got. And my tax money's supposed to go there? I don't want Rush Limbaugh University financed either. Okay? If you're an ideological school, you're not entitled to public tax money. Period. That's the Constitution. The public money is for the public good. Promoting far left tenets isn't the public good. It's an ideological good. So Trump's right. And Harvard should try to come to some accommodation. All right, joining us now is the guy who graduated from Harvard Business School with an MBA. His name is Anson Frericks. I got him on for two reasons. He's got a new book out called Last Call for Bud Light, The Fallen Future of America's Favorite Beer. But he did go to Harvard. He's a smart guy. He's the president of Strive Asset Management, and he knows the turf about Harvard and about Bud Light. So we'll get into both of those. First, Harvard. Did I make any mistakes in my commentary on it?
No, Bill, I think that you nailed it. I think most importantly is you got to take a step back. And I think we need to be asking ourselves, should the federal government, should your tax dollars be going to fund universities in the first place? I mean, this is sort of a relic of an older time. The U.S. government never funded universities really until World War II.
Okay, let me stop you, though. The government asks Harvard. Harvard doesn't ask the government to fund their research. The government asks Harvard to do it because the smartest people, or very smart people, are at Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Penn, and they have areas of expertise. So the government comes in and says, look, we want you to find a cure for Alzheimer's at the Harvard Med School, and we're willing to fund your research to try to find that cure. That makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't make sense to you?
I think it might have made sense maybe 50 years ago when, again, you didn't have venture capitalists, you didn't have private equity, you didn't have a lot of money that was going into trying to solve cancer or trying to create the next great thing on the internet or trying to do AI. Because you had a very kind of nascent sort of private markets at that time. And Harvard, with $3 billion it used to spend in the 1970s, they could actually help create the internet, help create these technological advances. Today, the government's spending over $60 billion a year. Like, most things the government starts spending money and it just keeps spending more and more and more. And we're seeing less and less is actually coming out of these universities. Much more is coming out of the private sector. So I actually think that the federal government, they should be incentivizing more private companies, whether it's via tax breaks, whether it's being private.
Look, you're not seeing the return. It's in both cases, the folks watching us should know that nobody's held accountable if you fail. So if the government's financing a doctor to research a disease and he doesn't come up with anything, the doctor still gets a federal money. There's no performance clause in the private sector or in the academic world. And that troubles me a little bit. All right, let's pivot over to Bud Light. So this was one of the dumbest things, and everybody knows it was dumb. You hire a trans person, and Dylan Mulvaney, right? Okay, I was looking at your book last night, to sell a beer that's consumed mostly by men, straight men, macho men, sportsmen, and they're is this Dylan Mulvaney person, smug, promoting Bud Light. And Middle America goes, no, we're going to punish Bud Light. That's essentially what happened, right?
That's essentially what happened. Actually, this is really much related to what happened at Harvard. One of the reasons that Harvard and Trump is rescinding a lot of the funds is you recall that under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you can't discriminate based on race, sex, religion, etc. Yet 2 years ago, you had Harvard's president, Claudine Gay, after Israel was attacked by Hamas, could not say if calling for the genocide of Israelis was hate speech. And this is because you had people on the left, like Harvard, and this whole cadre of what I call the DEI complex. You had McKinsey, who was pushing DEI studies. You had BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, pushing DEI and ESG. You had the universities doing it, and they essentially kind of follow the money bill. They were the ones that were directing large corporations. I mean, Anheuser-Busch became the essentially the poster child of what went wrong in corporate America, but a lot of other companies were essentially putting money towards supporting very progressive, very
okay, but it doesn't make any.
It was Anheuser-Busch was the one that just became the one that became the poster child of what went wrong.
When you're in Harvard Business School, they're teaching you how to make money. It's a capitalistic thing. I know there's DEI, but Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, and you worked for them for 11 years. Are they that stupid? That's a question. Are they that stupid?
Well, they were, because when I worked there, you never would have gotten Bud Light, the largest beer brand in America that was enjoyed by Democrats and Republicans alike. You never would have had it touch anything that was close to a political issue. You wouldn't have it touch transgenderism. You wouldn't have it touch abortion issues.
What happened? All right, so you had horses, you had Clydesdales dragging the beer thing around.
Budweiser frogs, real men of genius, the was up guys. I mean, you got it. Like, that's what beer was. It actually brought people together. That's what excited people. That's what brought people together. But when you had this ideological capture, a lot of companies, you remember, Disney got involved in the parental rights issues down in Florida.
Right.
You had Coca-Cola got involved in voting rights issues. This became kind of Anheuser-Busch.
But here's what I don't understand. Why would the board of directors, why would the president, CEO of Anheuser-Busch allow something that could backfire so badly? Surely they had to know that there was risk in putting this transgendered individual in their ad campaign. Surely they had to know that.
This was ideological capture at its finest, though, Bill, is that you have this a European company now. So what a lot of people don't realize is Anheuser-Busch is owned by a European company. This European company, InBev, has boards of directors that believe in more of this stakeholder capitalism philosophy, where businesses are supposed to get involved in social and political issues. That's the purpose of a corporation in their mind. They want every company to be like Ben and Jerry's. That's the problem. Those are not necessarily American values. That's not how most companies act here in the U.S. That's where the company got into trouble. And that's where the company still hasn't apologized to this day, because it's really captured by, I think, a lot of Europeans and European thinking that businesses are supposed to be kind of part of social enterprises working with the government, not for the benefit of shareholders.
I got
it. Own the company.
And the one that benefited was Modelo, the Mexican beer. So the book is Last Call for Bud Light, Anson Frericks. You might want to check that out. It's fascinating on how to destroy your profit margin. Thanks, Anson. We'll talk again soon, I hope. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.